I'm retiring.
Well, in that case, what are we drinking?
Same for the goddaughter.
Dad told me you found something on a train during the war. A dial that could change the course of history.
Why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy? Don't move.
We need to get out of here.
Stop!
Sorry.
Helena!
Dr. Jones, get him. But I've been looking for this all my life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ranked and Reviewed. I'm your host, Tomye West, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Alannis Maximus.
Salutations.
So, we just got done watching Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, now Dial of Destiny. And before we get into our thoughts, we're going to go into our overview like we usually do. But, you know, let's say something about it, at least while I get that up. Alannis, I mean, after everything you heard about this movie coming into it, did this movie surprise you?
I was pleasantly surprised. Like, everything I worried about did not happen. And
That's the same as me, man. That's the same as me. I don't get this woke thing that people are saying about it. I don't get the complaints about this movie. I mean, this was great. This was fun.
I feel when it comes to woke these days, you have the people that overdo that aspect, and then you have the people that clutch at straws and try to say something's woke because they're including females, which, no, that isn't woke. That's inclusionary, and that's the way things should be. And this was a good depiction of it. Like, it was balanced. It wasn't. Neither sex was the knight in shining armor or the main hero. It was very well balanced, and somewhere in the middle lies people like us that can enjoy that. And then you have on the other side the people like, oh, no, females, yay, girl power. And then you have people on the other side going, oh, woke. Wasn't like that.
No, this movie, man, like when I heard the negative response this movie got at Cannes Film Festival, whatever you want to say, I'm like, of course that's going to get a negative response there. It's not that's not the place you put Indiana Jones's like first showing at the Cannes Film Festival. I thought this movie lived way over what people said about this movie leading into it. I'm sad because this movie isn't going to do well. And that really concerns me because, well, look, it doesn't really matter either way because we're not getting another Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. So I want it to end here anyway. So the box office result to me, at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit about the box office result because as long as I enjoyed it, that's all that matters to me. And yeah, I just don't think that this movie's going to do well. But then again, do they need it to? Because isn't this it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think it if they continue it on, like, they could have a spin-off movie with whoever, but to reboot it, to have anyone be Indiana Jones except Harrison Ford, it's him. Never do it. It can't happen. Like, this isn't James Bond. This isn't even Han Solo. This is Indiana Jones. That is Harrison Ford. Like, that's his legacy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I just want them to leave this be. This was a perfect send-off. I don't care what anyone says. Don't listen to the bullshit YouTube content creator media. Don't listen to the negative reviews without going to see this movie for yourself and judging it. If you don't like it, like, more power to you. I'm going to support anyone who doesn't like the movie. But I think that the whole hate towards this movie is completely overblown. I think that it just goes to show that negative is more positive for people to watch than positive is. You know what I mean? Like, people want to see people talk shit on things more than they want to see people talk good on things. And that's just the way it is on the internet at the moment, with the way the toxic world works at the moment. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very profitable for critics to poo-poo things because it gets people reading their articles and acknowledging them. And now more so than ever, when I see a critic go, "Oh, that was crap," or "Wow, that was amazing," I believe it less and less. Like, I just find it very hard to listen to the critics these days because it's either a lie one way or the other. It's just, I swear, people are putting them some money under the table to go, make this sound good or make this sound really bad. And I don't understand why you'd want that or who wants that.
Well, that was kind of what happened with The Flash. Like, we heard all this things like Tom Cruise saying it was the best superhero movie he's ever seen. James Gunn said it, obviously, but I hate how people are like, James Gunn's such a liar, you know, like, but that's his job, being where he is on DC's totem pole. You know what I mean?
He has an invested interest in pissing.
Of course, he's going to say that it's a great movie and everyone should go see it because he's the head of DC's movie universe at the moment. So
that's like Kevin Feige saying that was a great Marvel movie. Of course, he's going to say it.
Of course. So with that, let's do what we always do before we get into more thoughts, more in-depth thoughts, and that's do our overview. You know what? It's fucked because all my windows just disappeared.
Farewell, Windows.
Where are you, Alannis? Where are you?
I am.
What is it? Where are you? And I'm so sorry. All right. So our overview of the movie goes a little like this: Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, with a rating of 12A, with a runtime of 2 hours and 34 minutes. And the synopsis goes a little like this: archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. Now, of course, this stars Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Antonio Banderas. It was directed by James Mangold, who's also directed Logan and a few other very highly regarded movies. And this has a rough estimated rough estimated budget of $294.7 million. That's an expensive movie.
They should give me that amount of money to make a movie.
What do you think's going to bomb harder, this or The Flash?
I don't think this could do worse than The Flash. Like, this crosses a few more generations, I think. Like, I know The Flash is obviously actually crosses more generations as a piece of work in general, but I think as in modern movies, this has a bigger fan base. I think. So I think it would be hard unless the review bombs are taken way too much as gospel. Is what I'm looking for. I think it will do better. And as you said, like, it won't upset me if it doesn't do super well. I don't think there can be another Indiana Jones movie with Indiana Jones. But it would be nice to see it do well because it deserves it. It's a great movie.
Of course, I agree. And I totally want this movie to do well just for the sake of me being such an Indiana Jones fan. I mean, it's my favorite movie series of all time, and I was waiting for this movie. I've been waiting for this movie since 2008 with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you know?
Note here, anyone watching, if this is the first time you've watched this, we don't pull our punches when we don't like something. If we don't like something, we will say it was shit. Like, so we're not pissing in anything's pocket here just because of what it is.
No, we're not at all. And to prove that point, you're looking at one of the biggest Halloween fans on the face of the earth. And you're looking at the same person who railed that movie, Halloween Ends. What a fucking disaster that movie was, man. And it was terrible. And I was so worried after seeing the first impressions out of people that have seen this movie. I was so worried that that's what we were going to get. You know, like, we were going to get another Halloween Ends, but for Indiana Jones. I really am so confused about what movie all these critics saw and decided to rip the shit out of.
I'm not sure what they saw. Like, I get the people that might have seen the first test screening and things like that, and I won't actually say anything more on that at this point.
It doesn't matter. You can say things about the original test screening because that doesn't end up happening in the movie. Like, that's not a spoiler. You know? So,
well, the elements that were in that movie that no one liked don't happen.
No. I mean, to be straight out, like, the original cut of this movie had Indiana Jones die at the end of the movie, and that people weren't happy with that. And we're not going to tell you obviously what happens at the end of this movie, but we're going to tell you definitely that that's not the case. I'm going to straight out say that that's not the case because it doesn't happen, so it's not a spoiler, you know. But yeah, man, I loved this movie. I loved it so much. I had such a great time watching it. For people that I was listening to reviews on the way home with my son, and we were like, we were baffled because people were saying that like all the action in it was so bland.
That was actually when just before you dropped me off. That said that I think I verbally said, yeah, bullshit. Yeah. I don't understand how the action in that was bland.
I mean, I heard people saying the first 25 minutes of this movie is amazing and the rest of it's garbage. And I'm just like, I don't get that take on it because the first 25 minutes of this movie was great and the rest of the movie was just as good. But you can't have the first 20 to 25 minutes of this movie the entire way through. It's an action piece.
It's yeah. I mean, put it this way: I'm not like I like Indiana Jones, but I'm not in love with Indiana Jones. And this movie was the probably the only movie when it got quiet. There was no point in this installment that I started going get to the action, even if just a little bit. Like, I don't think it's common in the movies that they get boring in the quiet bits, but this one didn't to any stretch of the imagination. There's no point where I felt the pace slowed down. It was perfectly paced, be it something amusing happens or an action or a chase. It was very, very well paced. There's always something interesting going on, even when it was just talking. Yeah, hands down. I don't see how you can say it was bland or it was dull. Like, if you're wanting something big scale like Transformers or the Avengers, and you're watching this for the wrong reasons. It's never been that way, and to expect it from it, I think, is stupid.
See, that's a problem. I think that people don't expect that from Indiana Jones, and I do almost feel like that we got a little bit more action in this Indiana Jones than we did in previous Indiana Jones. I mean, it's an action movie, so like series. So obviously, they're all gonna have action in them, but this had another level, and a lot of it was CGI. So I think that's where a lot of people are making the comparisons to other terrible movies that are CGI driven or whatever, you know. But yeah, I really am so confused and baffled at the hate this movie's getting because it's really good.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the difference in the CGI as well. Direct comparison between youth implanted versions of celebrities' faces that look like plastic in The Flash, compared to all the actors that were used in Indiana Jones, including Harrison Ford. And I mean, if I were to look back on it, maybe it wasn't perfect, but on first watch, it was almost seamless. His younger self. Like,
yeah, well, that's what we were listening to as well. Is someone that said that they think that it looked terrible, the de-aging, and they said that it looked fine when he was still, but when he talked and moved, it looked a little wonky. And I don't think that's the case. I was really keeping my eye out for it as well because of what everyone was saying. You know what I mean? So I thought it was perfect. You know, I almost think that they could go back and make like a prequel Indiana Jones where it's all that movie. The whole movie is him being young. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, let's say a few things that we really liked about this movie, like some parts. No spoilers yet, and some things we didn't like. Maybe there are a few things we didn't like, and we're going to start off with you, Alannis.
I really liked that it didn't overdo the time travel thing. Like, it didn't go down the rabbit hole of a lot of movies do when it comes to causality and things like that, which I think they could have done very easily. As for things I didn't like, it's hard for me to pick because for an Indiana Jones movie, it was pretty perfect.
There's one thing. What did you think about sort of how Harrison Ford's older voice with the de-aging?
I didn't really notice too much of a fault.
Yeah, because me and Quinn noticed that. We noticed, we were like, oh, that's our old Indiana Jones voice with young Indiana Jones face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have not been particularly listening out for it.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough because it was enjoyable. I mean, the first 25 minutes of this movie is an explosive set. Like, it is awesome.
Yeah.
And it has everything you want in an Indiana Jones movie. They've gone back to Nazis. They've gone back to historical moments. They've gone not just aliens or interdimensional beings or whatever you want to fucking call them. It didn't have like Shia LaBeouf swinging through trees like with monkeys and shit. So, you know, I think that this movie did great.
We have a comment down Underland. Just got back from seeing it in VMAX and thinks it was amazing. We're with you.
We are straight up with you down Underland. We agree completely. This movie was awesome, and the hate it got is completely unwarranted. I'm shocked at how good it was because of everything said beforehand. Like, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad that people are so wrapped up in listening to reviews, like the negative reviews more than the positive. I just pulled up an article then from Screen Rant, and the headline, this is from today, it's a review, and it says, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny review. Ford is brilliant in Final India Adventure. Indiana Jones 5 doesn't quite match the highs that came before, but with Ford's assured performance at its center, it's still an entertaining ride. So, I mean, that's more of a review I can get on board with than anything negative.
Yeah, exactly. And we're happy you love it too, Down Underland, because it baffles us. We were saying that a little earlier. It makes no sense why the critics hate this. Why is it getting bombed?
And I didn't feel any wokeness. I didn't feel like he got his thunder taken away by a female role. I felt like she did a great job in this movie, being what she was and what she cast. She did a good job. I wouldn't say that his little side character kid, like short round version this time, was as good as short round, but that's nitpicking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, Mads Mikkelsen, people said he was a bad villain. He was fucking brilliant. Like, he is perfect for a sinister Nazi dude. Like, the dude he weirds me out a little bit just in his features and things.
He captivated me, man. He captivated me in this movie as a villain because in the last one we had Cate Blanchett, which was horrible. We also had who's before that? We had Hitler, obviously, and the Third Reich. Then we had the Temple of Doom, which I'm sorry, I still think that's my lowest scoring Indiana Jones movie. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is again Nazis, and this movie had everything in it you would want from an Indiana Jones movie. And I don't know what else people are expecting because people weren't happy with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and now people are apparently not happy with Dial of the Destiny. So it's like, where do you want this to go?
What do you want here? Because this movie was everything Kingdom of the Crystal Skull wasn't. Like this.
Yeah, and Down Underland, you just made a good point again too. You said Disney didn't destroy this, and they didn't. They really did a good job.
And I'm surprised because Kathleen Kennedy was on board with this, and she hates men.
Well, does she though? Because I get that she's been like in the forefront of being like the person behind this movie and Star Wars and all those things at Disney at the moment. But she's been there throughout every Indiana Jones movie. She's been a producer on every one of them.
True. I don't know. I've been burnt.
Yeah, you've been burnt by Star Wars, but I mean, it seems like George Lucas can't even make a good Star Wars movie anymore. Like, think about the prequels. You know what I mean? Like, even George Lucas himself couldn't make a good Star Wars movie after the first three. And there's people out there that still don't really like Return of the Jedi even. You know what I mean? So, like, we're looking at two movies of Star Wars that everyone loves. And I'm confused. Correct me here. The Force Awakens, everyone loved it when it came out, and now it gets shit on.
It was the strongest entry in that sequel trilogy, I think. Like it set the stage, and put a decent building block in. If it was followed up well, and it just wasn't, it became a hot mess and an even hotter mess after that.
100%, 100%. But this movie, man, this movie showed me that you can't listen to the negatives on anywhere anymore about anything, man, because people just want. People are so drawn into the negative, and people are like, "Oh, look, there's someone shitting on Indiana Jones. I want to hear this." And then you'll be like, our headline, our title on YouTube could be, "This movie was great." And that's going to get less clicks than people saying this movie was garbage. That's just the way the world works at the moment. And I hate it. I hate it.
I will quote Chuck D here and say, don't believe the hype. Don't let this be one of those movies that you go, oh, I should have seen that at the cinema. See it at the cinema. Worth it. You won't regret it. And I'll openly let you hate me if you don't like this movie, because I don't think you will dislike this movie.
You can't. You can't. If you didn't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, this should be the answer to you, you know? Everyone clapped at the end of this as well. Down under land said, that's good to hear. I almost clapped at the end of it too. And me and my son literally walked in and sat down next to Alan as the curtains for the cinema opened wider and it went to the Paramount logo. I was like, oh man, I didn't miss any. Couldn't have been better timing. And from the moment I sat down and the movie started and the title came up and it looked like the way it should and it felt the way it should, you heard me. I was audibly going, yes, fuck yeah, you know. I'm glad to hear that. Actually, good question. One question down Underland. How packed was your cinema for a normal VMAX session? Because with the 4DX session, there was not a lot of people.
It was about a third full, if that.
Not even. I reckon it was like the back rows. Just like the back 3 rows, and the rest was completely empty. But then again, that's 4DX. How many people want to see it in 4DX? I don't know. How many people can get to Central City in Melbourne, you know? I don't know. I'd love to see the numbers after this weekend, and I really think that if this movie doesn't do as well as it should, it's because of all the negative criticism this movie got leading up to it that was unwarranted, and people just jumping on the bandwagon when they hadn't seen it but want to report on it and want to be like, oh, well, we've heard this and we've heard this and we've heard this, and it's going to be shit. I'd say VMAX was 70% full, but they clapped for real. So good. That's the answer we got from Down Underland, who's in our chat right now. That is a good sign, 70% full.
VMAX is a big room as well. So, I mean, that's a standard cinema. That would probably be full, if not close to.
100%. Now, do you think this movie is going to even break even? Because I want to explain something to you first. This movie cost $297 million, so roughly $300 million. Then you've got to think about it. So they need $300 million. But then wait a second. Movie theaters take 50%. So that already takes them up to $600 million that they need to make. And then they've got promotion money that they have to spend, which is $150 to $200 million. So that's like $900 million to $1 billion that this movie has to make just to break even. What do you think?
I'm going to say I made the mistake of doubting James Cameron and saying he won't do it. So I'm going to go this time. I'm going to go on the side of optimism, and I'm going to say they're going to at least break even.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull got less.
True.
And that was a hyped movie that hadn't had any bad movies beforehand. And everyone went into it really hoping that that movie was going to be great. And that only earned around $850 million worldwide. And on opening weekend, that earned over $100 million. And they're saying that this is expected to do $60 million.
That is absolutely right. If anything shoots it in the foot here, it is the reviews. That's bad.
It is all the content creators, all the reviewers, all the people leading up to this that had seen it, and for some reason just didn't like it. And I don't understand what they were looking for. I just don't understand it. You know, I really don't. So I don't know. As I said, to me, it doesn't really matter what the box office numbers are. I hope it does well for the sake of it being my favorite franchise, but it doesn't matter because I don't want another one after this. Harrison Ford's done. Let's leave it. Let's leave it be like Back to the Future. Even though I guarantee when the creator of Back to the Future dies, we're getting another Back to the Future. I guarantee it. The only reason it hasn't happened is because he won't let it go. So with that, if you haven't seen the movie yet and you're tuning in, we're going to put up the warning for spoilers right now. And from now on, we're talking spoilers. So I'm giving you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're talking spoilers now. Now, spoilers, Alannis. What did you think of the ending?
I think it was almost pretty damn. Actually, no. I'm gonna say it was the perfect send off for Indiana Jones. There was no writing him out. There was no killing him off. They just let him essentially implied with his implied that he rekindled his old flame and just was an old dude.
People were saying that no one wants to see a depressed and sad and over the hill Indiana Jones. And I get that that's what this was, but I think that he still played it with enough charisma that he was still the normal Indiana Jones, just maybe a little concerned or confused about where he was in life.
Why not let him have that character progression? I don't think they changed him enough in any way that it was depressing. I think everyone or most people in life when they get to that age, they kind of get that way. Like it's a normal thing, and I don't think they ever did it. Not at all.
Exactly. And it was. What did you think about the way they tackled the continuation from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, being like where he got married, had Shia LaBeouf, Mutt, the Greaser as a son? What did you think about the way they tackled answering where Mutt was?
It was very interesting because it was in the early onsets of the movie, like just after the intro. There was a radio news thing on the background. It's like they mentioned he'd lost his son, but it was very, very subtle, like blink and you miss it. So I can remember actually Tony and saying, "Did he say he lost his son?" But then they confirm it later on. So they did it in a very interesting way, where it's kind of like it almost suddenly pricked your ears up to go, "Wait, was that what it is?" And then kind of sitting there wondering, going, "Will they talk about this?" And they did. I thought it was interesting. I'm not gonna lie. There was a little part of me just waiting for Shia LaBeouf to appear, and
Me too, man. Especially when we saw Marianne at the end, I was like, oh. So, I mean, what did you think about the 4DX experience?
Answer that question directly as someone that
Sandy Productions, we're going to answer that for you right now. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. We appreciate you.
IMAX is no way near shit on seeing this in 4DX. The 4DX experience was phenomenal. Far better than just having a really big screen you have to go. That's my 2 cents.
So Santa Productions, are you seeing have you seen this yet? If so, are you seeing it in IMAX Melbourne, or there's no IMAXs anywhere else, or is it just Melbourne?
It's definitely, I think, Sydney, Canberra, there's a few. Because
I'm never going back to IMAX again, at least until that seating area gets a revamp, because it's so uncomfortable. It's so smushed to the screen. Like, it's all well and good having a giant screen, but when you're this close and you've got to be like turning your head from left and right just to see what's going on, like, honestly, the 4DX experience trumps everything. Only thing that could have been better, and this is just my personal opinion on it, I liked the 3D, and we didn't get 3D. And I'm a big fan of 3D. You don't have to be. You may prefer to see movies not in 3D, but I really wish that this was in 3D. There were some parts that would have looked beautiful in 3D with this. The streamers, like when the parade going on, the underwater bits in the plane, all those sorts of things. There's some great parts in this. And Santa Productions, if you haven't seen it and you're in Melbourne, or you have access to a 4DX screen, go see it in 4DX. Do yourself a favor. Go have a fun time. I mean, some of the explosions, some of the action throws you around. The part when they're on the chase scene on the little enclosed thing in where were they? Morocco?
Yes.
I don't know, man. But anyway, the way they were going down the stairs, and you're like, duh, 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 duh. It was so fun. It was a great time. And yeah, I really like the villain. I really like the plot. I really like this movie, and I suggest everyone go see it. Is it better than Avatar 2 in 4DX? Now, we can't answer that because
We went to IMAX.
we're the dumbest idiots ever. We didn't even know there was a 4DX theater when Avatar 2 was on. We had no idea. And then we saw it in IMAX, and now we wish we saw it in 4DX because we're such big fans of 4DX, you know? So I guess if you've seen Avatar 2 in 4DX and then you're going to go check this out in 4DX, you'll have to be the judge of that one. But yeah, I just definitely think that this was an experience that I'm so happy with. And it was a great wrap up to my favorite film franchise ever.
Yeah.
So, go on. You go. You got anything else to say?
I think that's about all I really have to touch on there.
Yeah, me too. So with that, let's get into some trivia before we rank this against. So for all of you people that haven't tuned in before, we rank movies in franchises usually from best to worst. But this year we decided to do it a little bit different. We're ranking every movie of the year in one big list. We each have a list and we give you our rankings of where we put movies for the year. And by the end of the year, we're going to have a giant list of all the movies that came out from best to worst, in our opinion. We also rank the 4DX experience now on its own. But because we've already done every Indiana Jones movie when we were ranking franchises, we're still going to rank this against the other Indiana Jones movies, as well as give you an overall score for it for the year against the other movies we've seen this year. So
more lists than you can poke with a stick.
Definitely. And we're also ranking the 4DX experience, as I said, so we're going to be putting that up too with every movie we've seen in 4DX this year. But before we get into that and we wrap it up, we're going to get into some trivia on this movie quickly. I wonder
no Shia LaBeouf were heard in the making of this movie.
Don't worry, no swinging monkeys and whatever. So, trivia. We have got Harrison Ford would embark on a 40-mile bike ride and daily walks to get in shape for his Indiana Jones role.
I was gonna say he was pretty like muscular for an old dude. Like he's pushing 80, and he had some abs.
Definitely. Rumors of Chris Pratt and even Bradley Cooper possibly assuming the titular role of Indiana Jones were laid to rest as of October 27th, 2015, with confirmation from the studios attached that Harrison Ford would be reprising the role for Indy. Ford subsequently stated in 2019 that he didn't want his character to be recast, saying, "When I'm gone, he's gone. It's easy." He later confirmed in 2022 that the fifth film would be his last time playing the character. Steven Spielberg has stated that Indiana Jones will and won't ever be killed off. James Mangold confirmed on Twitter that Phoebe Waller-Bridge will not replace Indiana Jones at the end of the movie. Even if it's mostly set in the 60s, some sources of information claim that there's going to be a flashback that lets Indiana Jones fight Nazis on a train, which is confirmed. And that was set in 1938. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was set in 1938, so the flashback could be set between 1939 to 1945. There's a lot more. Might read one more, and then we'll get into our ranking. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Paramount Pictures first agreed to 5 Indiana Jones films in 1979.
And then they bailed, didn't they?
Yeah.
Quitters.
Let's get into our ranking before we sail off into the night. Now, I'll bring up the ranking of the 40X experience first. Now, where do we put this against all our other 40X experiences? And I'm going to pull that list up right now. For me, it goes number one. Yeah, number 1, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Number 3, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Number 4, The Flash. Number 5, Fast X. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Alannis goes, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, The Flash, Fast X, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
This is our first variance in 40X experience.
Definitely. Now,
it was a hard decision though.
Sorry?
For me, like I had to keep re-editing my side because I'm like, yeah, but nah, but yeah, but nah, but I think the one thing that made me put Transformers above it is the 3D pop's so good there. I tried to make that not too much of a deciding factor. If it was average 3D, 3D, probably would have put Indiana Jones above it because the incorporation of the lights in this movie and the water and the movement, I think, as well, was second only to Mario.
Yeah.
But the 3D just pushed Transformers above it, I think, because that was also a contender in its own right.
Definitely. Now, we're going to bring up our ranking for movies for the entire year. Let's do that right now. For me, it goes number 1, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Yes, that's right. This movie has taken over number 1 position as my favorite movie of the year. Number 2, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 3, Scream 6. Number 4, The Flash. Number 5, Avatar: Way of the Water. Number 6, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Number 7, Cocaine Bear. Number 8, Evil Dead Rises. Number 9, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then number 10, dead last, Fast X. With Alannis, number 1, Evil Dead Rise. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Number 4, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Number 5, Avatar: Way of the Water. Number 6, Scream 6. Number 7, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 8, The Flash. Number 9, Cocaine Bear. And number 10, Fast X. We're going to do our Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review soon. We just, at that time when that movie came out, we had a lot going on with my band, with Alannis moving. We will eventually rank that and put that into the list when we see it. And we'll do an episode on it. It's probably going to be very outdated, but we're going to do it. And now let's finish off with where we put this movie against all the other movies in the Indiana Jones franchise. And I think this is going to upset a lot of people. Or if you like this movie or whatever, you may not have. So here it is. Number 1, Dial of Destiny. Number 2, The Last Crusade. Number 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Number 5, The Temple of Doom. Oh, that's got to rub some people the wrong fucking way, man. I'll tell you what. And then we're going to go with you. We're going to go with your list.
But I mean, if you look at this here, ours are radically varied, but we both agree that this was the best movie. So I think that says a lot.
Definitely. So number 1 with you, it's The Dial of Destiny. Number 2, The Last Crusade. Number 3, The Temple of Doom. Number 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And number 5, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This was my most anticipated movie of the year. This was my most anticipated movie of the last 10 years. And it didn't disappoint. And I'm so happy that it didn't disappoint. So with that, we're going to close out the show now. We thank you for all coming in and checking it out and tuning in. What have we got coming up next? Do we know?
We have on this, I think 40X wise, there's not heaps until August. We have the Meg 2. We have Gran Turismo, I think is August.
Yeah.
In terms of movies that have come out, there is some. I don't know if we're going to see them though.
Barbie's coming out. We're definitely seeing Barbie.
Yes, July. I don't know what else is coming that will be in 40X.
Well, there's the Meg 2. I don't know when that is.
Yep.
That's the 40X.
Barbie, I'm sure Barbie will be 40X.
Aquaman, Blue Beetle, Oppenheimer surely would be. Gran Turismo. So yeah, I think the Marvels you said, Craven, The Equalizer, another one. Jesus. Paw Patrol, Jesus. Yeah. So we'll be back. Maybe we can fit in a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review in the next week or so.
Yes.
Cool. Again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in, and we really love the movie, and we hope you all give it a chance and go check it out and don't listen to the poo-pooers. I'm your host, as always, Tomye West, and joining me, as always, has been my co-host, Alannis Maximus. and we will see you next time.
Peace.
I'm retiring.
Well, in that case, what are we drinking?
Same for the goddaughter.
Dad told me you found something. On a train during the war. A dial that could change the course of history.
Why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy? Don't move.
We need to get out of here.
Stop!
Sorry.
Helena!
Dr. Jones, get him. But I've been looking for this all my life.